Okay, last question. And I want to explore this a little bit at depth because it's so at the heart of your writing. Is there a perfect love or a perfect, not lover like a person, but is there an ideal there in your mind?
No. It has four legs.
Okay, well, we can go there too. But
no, I'm just kidding.
Well, my point is if you're, what's the oppositional force to the scrappy fighter? Does it make sense?
What am I fighting against?
No, it's like if you're a person who wants to be understood or seen, the foe on that end of the equation is somebody who doesn't see you or doesn't appreciate you.
Right.
And you have to prove them wrong.
Yeah, it's
But the positive side of that equation is somebody who understands. Right. Well, what is it that they understand about you that maybe most people?
I don't know. I don't know what they'd understand. I don't know if anybody understands anybody really.
But so when you're writing a love song and you're writing about somebody else,
right?
Is it just a sort of miasmic idea of?
Well, I'm just in that character.
Okay.
Know? Like so.
So if
it has to be, I'm being authentic to what is being said in that song.
But is there an oppositional character usually that you're speaking to?
It depends, depending on the song.
Okay.
It depends on.
Yeah, just because you've written so many great love songs, I almost.
Yeah, but not everything's. I have some good, songs that aren't.
I've heard the angry songs too,
yeah,
but
those are fun.
I was just wondering if there's like sort of an idealized thing. Does it make sense?
No, not one idealized thing.
Yeah. So I think I have an idealized thing. That's kind of.
What is that? What is that?
I think it has something to do with my mother, and
wow.
It has something.
Well, maybe mine does too. The proving people wrong. That was the first person I had to prove wrong, was my mom. So.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You're sort of speaking to somebody.
Right. So. Even if it's about something else, there's a subliminal thing.
Yeah, because part of my story is my mother was institutionalized when I was 4. So my mother was in my life, but at a distance.
Right.
So I had to create a kind of mental version of my mother that was or wasn't real, that over time had to be amended.
Wow.
So when that became there's that old, I'm sure you've heard it, like little boys marry their mothers and little girls marry their fathers, that type of thing. But the notion is that if you have an idealized conception of in this case the mother, well then when you go into adult life and you're trying to find a partner, and if that holds true that you're looking for your mother, well you're looking for somebody that doesn't exist.
Right.
Because I had to create an idealized version of my mother in my mind.
Wow. Because
the real person I couldn't navigate.
Did you ever get to know her?
Oh yeah, I was very close to my mother, and it's a very strange.
Wow.
Long story that I'd love to tell you if you want to hear it. But
yeah.
But so I feel like I'm oftentimes writing to like a ghost.
Oh wow.
And then by extension, and that's why I asked about California and growing up here, because by extension, I think this is a very similar to a lot of people grew up in the Midwest in basements and latchkey kids.
Right.
We're kind of talking about something that we were sort of promised, but we know it isn't real. But television created a fake.
Right.
Because there it was.
And now it's the internet, now it's, Instagram,
sure.
Isn't it, right?
But the 1975 version was Eric Estrada on a motorcycle.
Right.
Or Farrah Fawcett, Charlie's Angels, all this. It was like, it looked...
enticing.
Yes, and it created a kind of mental idea of something, even though it's not real, you believe it to be real, so you kind of chase it.
I wonder how many people came, to Hollywood and,
Endless.
With that, like... thousands.
See, you growing up here, I think it's probably a different perspective. The analogy I always get is people get off the bus.
Right.
Think of how many Sally Mays came from Kansas. Oh, yeah. They were the high school prom queen.
And they came here and there was like a million of them.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine that moment where you look around and you realize you're like... You're working with the other prom queen that was from the other state.
Or the other city right next door to you that you didn't know.
Yeah.
But, growing up, like I said, right down the street from here, Hollywood was a million miles away, too.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, just when I'd go, going over the hill to have meetings, and it just seemed like, it was almost like being from the Midwest, being in the Valley. But not the idealized thing, not like,
So are your parents alive, or are they passed?
No, they're gone. Yours?
Both, yeah, they're gone, yeah.
Yeah, we're orphans.
So when did your mommy and daddy pass away?
Well, my dad a long time ago, and he was 70 in '87. And my
Okay.
mom in 2002.
Okay, so
86.
Dad got to see some success.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, he'd call radio stations and, and request songs. And,
That's so amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
That must have felt.
Yeah, and then I got a good friend from that because one of the people he called, I ended up becoming really good friends with.
So, and your mother, how would she see your success?
She saw a lot of it, and she would say she's proud of me, but she would, I'd say, Mom, I just got a check for like some ridiculous amount of money. She goes, well, how much are you going to keep?
Well, that's that old. That's that old logic. Like, you're not.
Jewish,
it's not going to last. And
in the Depression era, because my parents were older parents.
Okay.
When they had me, so.
Okay. Last question. So, did you prove whoever you're trying to prove wrong?
A lot of them.
But not all of them.
Not all of them.